American military veterans have a long history of banding together in clubs after their days in the service have ended. For example, the Veterans of Foreign Wars has been around for 125 years. Sadly, membership in such organizations has been shrinking as of late, but the VFW post in Proctor, Minnesota is fighting that trend. Northern News Now's Dave Anderson shows us how.
On Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 137 relocated to Proctor. There to welcome the post was Proctor City Councilor, newspaper publisher, Army veteran, and VFW member Jake Benson.
I can't begin to tell you how pleased and happy city officials and community members are that the VFW decided to locate here in Proctor.
The VFW was founded in 1899 by Spanish-American War veterans. The purpose of the VFW was to help disabled and needy veterans, assist veterans, widows, and orphans, and promote patriotism through community service.
I joined because of so many other people that never were able to because they gave their lives for this country serving the military.
Unfortunately, one of the reasons VFW Post 137 moved to Proctor is because of declining membership and contraction and consolidation of posts. The American Legion feels that pinch too, as younger vets stay away from such veterans organizations.
Yes, the membership's been dropping over the years. We've been losing the World War II, Korean War vets, and even the Vietnam vets.
However, Jake Benson tells us that interest in the VFW has been up since Post 137 moved to Proctor.
We're fortunate that when this VFW moved to Proctor, they saw a spike in their memberships from Vietnam through all the recent conflicts. Members are joining.
Hopefully that spike spills over to the American Legion posts in Spirit Valley and beyond. In Proctor, Dave Anderson, Northern News Now.
Thank you, Dave. You don't necessarily have to be a veteran to join the American Legion. There is a membership category for descendants of veterans, and the American Legion Auxiliary says they are open to everybody.